A Spokane woman won the jackpot and days later was found dead in her home. We'll tell you what Spokane police say about her suspicious death.
We wanted to do the best job possible to honor Mr. Martinez and his family.
Yesterday, the Pullman Police Department released their charging recommendations in the death of WSU freshman Sam Martinez. Tonight, we hear from the Pullman Police Chief, who has more details on the investigation.
Thousands of middle and high school students in Spokane are getting ready to return to in-person classes next week. One student shares his excitement with KREM 2 tonight.
We cannot let our guard down when we're so close to a potential victory.
And Washington regions don't have to worry about moving backwards in phases. Governor Jay Inslee announced a statewide pause. Tonight, we break down the state's trends in COVID activity. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 6. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome everyone, I'm Whitney Ward. We begin tonight just days after a Spokane woman won a jackpot at Northern Quest Casino. She has been found dead in her home. Spokane police are now investigating.
KREM 2's Amanda Rowley shares what we know so far.
Just days after winning the jackpot at Northern Quest Casino, 47-year-old Jenny Jones was found dead in her Spokane home. Spokane police believe her death is suspicious due to condition of her body and clothes when they found her.
Spokane County Court documents say the victim told her mother last Monday she won a jackpot at Northern Quest Casino. Her stepfather told investigators her phone died during that conversation and they didn't hear from her for 2 days. So he went to check on her, and that is when he discovered Jones' body. Court docs say Jones told neighbors and her apartment manager about winning the money. She also said she was having problems with a man who refused to leave her apartment. One neighbor told investigators before Jones' death they heard a man's voice inside her apartment. They say it sounded like he was talking to himself. Police searched the home for paperwork or anything that might indicate who that man is, along with any weapons that may have been used. We do not know how much money Jones won at the casino, and it is not clear if that had anything to do with her death. At this time, police have not identified any suspects.
I spoke with Jones' mother over the phone today. She says they don't believe any person caused her daughter harm. She did say that Jones had a lifelong medical condition, and she believes it is that medical condition that caused her death. Reporting in Spokane, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
New at 6 tonight, more information from the Pullman Police Department about why it took more than a year to gather charging recommendations in a student's death. Yesterday, police recommended hazing charges in the death of WSU freshman Sam Martinez.
The problem is the statute of limitations for hazing has actually expired, making it so those charges cannot be prosecuted. Our Ian Smay spoke with Pullman Police and the chief today. Ian?
Whitney, a lawyer for the Martinez family, provided me with a statement today about the charging recommendations. The statement reads in part, quote, "It is with great sorrow and disappointment for the Martinez family to hear the news that the investigation was not completed in time to bring forward all of the potential criminal charges against the individuals who played a role in the hazing death of their beloved son and brother, Sam Martinez. This has been an unbearable, overwhelmingly painful experience for the Martinez family. However, they remain resolute." I spoke with Pullman Police Chief Gary Jenkins today about what led to delays in the investigation. Sam Martinez was a soccer-loving WSU freshman from Bellevue who died from alcohol poisoning after drinking at an Alpha Tau Omega fraternity event in 2019.
We wanted to do the best job possible to honor Mr. Martinez and his family. So I believe we have conducted a very thorough investigation.
Thursday, the Pullman Police Department recommended charges for hazing and providing liquor to a minor. The report did not recommend manslaughter charges. It is too late to file charges for hazing because more than a year has passed since Sam's death. Chief Gary Jenkins says it took a long time to track down witnesses who moved away.
The logistics of trying to set up in-person interviews with all the witnesses who many were not in Pullman when we were trying to interview them really added to the timeline of completing this investigation.
The other major hurdle was trying to access Martinez's cell phone for evidence.
We contracted with a company to try to do that for us, and they had it for quite a long time, and we actually did not get any results from that.
Jenkins says they had hazing charges in mind during the investigation and its 1-year statute of limitations, but he says detectives didn't want to risk rushing the investigation.
We did not want to run into a double jeopardy problem where we, for example, would submit a misdemeanor case of hazing, but still have a potential for a manslaughter charge, which might be precluded from prosecution if some adjudication were made on the lesser charge.
This is what Sam's parents had to say to our sister station last July.
Sam was just absolutely pushed to the brink by this ritual, by this tradition of hazing, and left to die alone in the basement of that fraternity. It's devastating to think about.
Jenkins also told me the Pullman Police Department has been short-staffed and recruitment stalled when the pandemic hit. The Whitman County Prosecutor's Office is currently reviewing the recommendations. In the newsroom tonight, Ian Smay, KREM 2 News.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. A major ruling by the Washington State Supreme Court today. Justices threw out the state's drug possession charge, ruling it is unconstitutional. This is a decision that actually started with a case here in Spokane, and it could affect policing and the status of thousands of inmates in state prisons.
So lawmakers use words like huge and heartbreaking to describe the ruling, which essentially means, as of today, if you're caught possessing drugs and you tell a cop, those aren't mine, or I don't know how I got those, you cannot be charged. Drug dealing and the manufacture of drugs remain illegal.
So this morning's ruling from the state Supreme Court could impact thousands of convictions that have already taken place and the sentences for people arrested on drug possession charges, unless prosecutors can prove those individuals knew they were in possession of drugs. So Washington apparently is the only state in the U.S. that requires that kind of proof, and the justices ruled because of that. The state had criminalized the passive, unknowing, innocent possession of drugs. Lawmakers could rewrite the law, but it's not clear if they actually will.
The Supreme Court threw out the conviction of a Spokane woman arrested after police found meth in her pants pocket, but she told investigators the pants were a gift from a friend and she didn't know about the drugs. Because of the way the state's possession law is written, justices ruled that is a valid defense. Lawmakers say it's not exactly clear what this ruling will do to the populations at state prisons and county jails, and it will end up dismissing and closing ongoing drug investigations. Will it do that? The legislature could rewrite the law, but as of this afternoon, no one is saying that that is going to happen.
This is a huge decision. It really does have consequences that we are just trying to figure out. It does turn our system upside down quite a bit, because we just have so many drug conviction cases on our books.
You've got fentanyl, you've got heroin, you've got meth, you've got PCP, you've got acid, you've got drugs that we know harm people, and often these people who are under the influence of these drugs harm people, not only the person using, but community members around them. So we're trying to figure out what this means, but we're all in shock.
Now, another concern actually is in the past, family or friends trying to get help for someone often had to wait until that person got arrested to push them toward addiction counseling or treatment options. But now that push is going away, so we will certainly keep you posted on those developments. In the meantime, the inland Northwest under a wind advisory tonight and into tomorrow afternoon.
And Tom, do you think we'll see any more snow like we did this morning?
Yeah, we may get a little bit of light snow in the early morning hours, a much better chance for our viewers down in the Palouse, and especially in northern Idaho. You're going to get on and off rain and snow showers at times tomorrow. Right now, let's talk about that wind advisory. That is in effect till about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Could see wind gusts at 40 to 45 miles per hour. Everywhere shaded in yellow. That includes the Spokane area. Right now, we're at 37 degrees. Pretty high average wind speed out there. We're looking at winds out of the west-southwest at 23 miles an hour as you take a look at that live look downtown. Still seeing some snow falling along the Idaho and Montana border and also down into the Palouse, as I just mentioned. You can see some snow showers down around the Colfax area. I did take a look at the webcam down in Colfax, and it showed that the roadways there were just wet. So according to that webcam picture, it didn't look like that it was sticking, but you can see that snow. And of course, as temperatures drop drop tonight. We will get just below freezing, down to about 31 degrees. So we could see some icy roads as well late tonight and early tomorrow morning. Mostly cloudy, continued windy tomorrow. We'll look for a daytime high of 41 degrees. And again, not as much chance of snow in Washington State and in Spokane, but a better chance in northern Idaho and down into areas of the Palouse. For the weekend, I've got mostly dry weather, sunshine on Saturday. We'll look for partly to mostly cloudy skies on Sunday. Well, our snow this morning has stopped for now, but the mountain passes still remain a challenge. Several feet of snow could fall by late tomorrow evening. Let's go outside to meteorologist Thomas Patrick, who has the latest on what to know about the snow in the passes.
Yeah, those passes are going to continue to get some very heavy snow for the next day and a half. And just a quick sidebar, it is quite windy in our outdoor weather center at the moment. Here's a look at some of the passes that got live looks from Snoqualmie as well as Lookout Pass. I used last hour's images over Stevens Pass and 4th of July Pass because those get pretty dark to see once the sun goes down. And it's actually Stevens Pass that has been hit the hardest throughout the day today. Chains are required on that pass. Otherwise, traction tires just advised or recommended over all the other passes across Washington and Idaho right now. 4th of July Pass faring a lot better than Lookout Pass. I wanted to compare that as of this hour. Now, the snow is going to continue of the scattered variety tonight, but pick up once again over the mountains tomorrow. So while we might not get very much snow in our area cities, it's always the mountains and the terrain that influence more snowfall over the mountains. So Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass up for another 1 to 3 feet of snow over the next 24 hours. They got winter storm warnings until 10 o'clock tomorrow night. The avalanche danger, however, is lower as of right now than what it was earlier in the week. It has lowered to the considerable level, which is a category 3 on this 5-point scale that the Northwest Avalanche Center uses for the Cascades region. Usually doesn't go below a 3 when we get any kind of precipitation, but I don't think we'll see any road closures due to avalanches or avalanche control like what we saw earlier in the week. Nonetheless, you still want to pay attention to what the passes look like overall just because of the raw amount of snow that is in the forecast for both the Washington and Idaho mountains.
All good information, Thomas. Thank you very much. The Gonzaga men faced a bit of a scare this afternoon against Santa Clara, but eventually pulled out a win. Brenna Green joining us live from the newsroom tonight as Gonzaga is now 1 game away from completing an undefeated regular season. Brenna?
Yeah, we are oh so close to history, but Gonzaga did not take it easy on their fans to start this game. At one point in this one, Gonzaga was down 19-9. Let's pick it up with 11-19 in the first half. Corey Kispert from 3 in transition has been money this year. It stays that way. 19-17, Broncos still have the edge. Then Kispert with the baby jumper in the lane. That ties things up at 19 apiece. 9 minutes till the half. Andrew Nembhard threads the needle to Jalen Suggs, 24-22 Broncos. Then defense turning to offense. Anton Watson with the swat leads to more Gonzaga scoring in transition. Joel Ayayi to Suggs. Gonzaga up 28-24. The Bulldogs would take a 40-38 lead into the break and eventually win 89-75. Gonzaga's game against LMU tips off at 7 p.m. on Saturday. And of course, we will be there to cover all of the angles. We will be back later in this show with post-game sound from Mark Few and Jalen Suggs and more highlights from the second half. Back to you.
Lots to look forward to, Brenna. Thank you very much.